911, what's the nature of your emergency?
He was already not need one. Yeah, that's 4, I got a 28 from one truck when you're ready. From one truck, Boy Lincoln X-ray 985 should come back up then.
On December 5th, 2019, in Miramar, Florida, 911 calls flooded the Broward County Sheriff's Office from people who found themselves in the middle of a highway shootout. The incident happened during rush hour traffic, leaving innocent bystanders to try to dodge bullets between police and two suspects in a hijacked UPS truck. Authorities only released short segments of each call, showing how calm and matter-of-fact the callers were, some calling from the scene and some from their homes after they later realized their cars had bullet holes. The incident left a total of 4 people dead in its wake, including the two suspects, 41-year-old Lamar Alexander and 41-year-old Ronnie Jerome Hill.
I didn't hear them. I didn't see them. I'm inside of a business, and my coworkers are running. So I locked my suite, and I'm in the dark. But I was able to have my phone in my hand.
While they were shooting, his vehicle was right in front of the UPS truck while they were shooting, and the bullet hit his car.
And, ma'am, is he injured in any way?
He is not injured. When the bullet came through the car, he laid backward so that he didn't get hit.
Okay, and you said there's multiple bullet wounds?
It's multiple.
Bullet holes in his car?
Yeah. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about 5, 6 shots.
Wow, that was crazy, man.
And is anyone injured? Are you injured?
No, thank God. The bullet crossed all the way through my daughter's car seat, but she wasn't here, thank God.
Okay.
All right, so while the police chase was happening, long story short, my car was the car that ended up right next to the UPS driver. So shots started getting fired, and I was able to wiggle my way out of that situation. But now, hours later, I'm at home, and I just discovered that I think I have bullet shot holes on my car.
The incident initially started when Lamar and Ronnie robbed a jewelry store called Regent Jewelers in the nearby city of Coral Gables. While robbing the store, one of the robbers fired his weapon into the ground and the bullet ricocheted and struck a store worker, leaving her injured. The jewelry store manager then chased the men out of the store. Then, after trying to get away in a U-Haul, Lamar and Ronnie ditched the U-Haul, then carjacked a UPS truck. After hijacking the UPS truck and taking its driver hostage on a high-speed chase with police, the suspects were able to drive about 25 miles away while hopping curbs and maneuvering around traffic and police along the way. About an hour after the initial robbery, the chase ended at a busy intersection and the UPS truck became boxed in by rush hour traffic. The shootout began with more than 40 police and emergency vehicles being involved. As officers exited their vehicles to approach the suspects, they had to use surrounding cars as human shields. Several of the 911 callers reported they had bullet holes in their car, with one man saying a bullet went through his daughter's car seat, which was thankfully unoccupied at the time. A total of 19 officers from 5 different agencies fired at the UPS truck, and it's unclear who began shooting first. But during the shootout, the 2 suspects were shot and killed, along with the driver of the UPS truck, 27-year-old Frank Ordonez, and 70-year-old Richard Cutshaw. It's also unclear whose bullets killed Frank and Richard. Relatives of Frank said he had been substituting for a colleague who had called out from work that day, and it was his first time driving the UPS truck alone. He was the father of 2 young girls, ages 3 and 5, and his family described him as outgoing and happy. 70-year-old Richard was driving home from the job that he loved, caught in the crossfire during the shootout, and shot in his car while waiting at the intersection. He was within a couple years of retirement, and his family has since hired a lawyer to look into his death, hoping it will not be something that's just swept under the rug. Many people, especially the victims' relatives, questioned why the cops would choose to fire so many bullets at the UPS truck, knowing the innocent driver was inside, and why they would put other innocent drivers at risk during the rush hour traffic. Former Development of Housing and Urban Development official Brandon Friedman described the shootout as appalling. He said the police department should be held accountable for, quote, choosing to assault the vehicle in the middle of stopped rush hour traffic, end quote, and using occupied vehicles as human shields. At this time, the Coral Gables Police Department has declined to comment, and the FBI has not responded to any inquiries. In Concord, North Carolina, on December 28, 2019, a 911 call was made reporting a fight outside the entrance of Dave & Buster's, a popular arcade, bar, and restaurant. Then minutes later, several 911 calls were made reporting there were now gunshots heard in the same shopping center at the Concord Mills Mall. One of the callers said they saw who they believe was the shooter, describing him as a black man wearing a hoodie with red and white checkers, and that they heard at least 15 gunshots. When officers arrived on scene, they found 13-year-old Aveanna Propst suffering from a gunshot wound, and she would later be pronounced dead at the scene as a result of her injuries. 2 other male juveniles, one 15 years old and one 16, suffered non-life-threatening gunshot wounds and were treated at local medical facilities.
Curious County 911.
They're shooting outside of Dave & Buster's at Concord Mills. The suspect is a black man wearing a hoodie. It's red and white checkered. I believe it is a Ohio State hoodie. He's got the gun tucked in his pants now. Everybody's running.
Okay. Okay. Do you know where he's heading?
It was out toward the parking lot, out toward like the Sun Sea and Lodge area, the outdoor store.
Okay. All right. We have deputies starting that way. Okay.
Shots were fired. All right. About 15 shots were fired.
Okay. Do you know if anybody was hit?
I don't. I moved away.
Okay.
I see an officer in front of me though.
Okay. They're coming to you guys. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Bye. I'm a Crusader County 911.
Yes, they said it was shooting at Concord Mills.
Yes, ma'am. We have them out there, okay? Crusader County 911.
Yes, someone is inside of David Buster's Concord Mills. I need an ambulance there ASAP.
Somebody was shot? Okay, we got him starting that way, okay? Okay, we got him coming to you.
Thank you.
Crusader County 911.
Hi, I'm calling to report a shooting at Dave & Buster's at Concord Mills.
Yes, sir. We have everybody coming to you in the EMS, too, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. 911.
Hi, I just wanted to report a shooting at Concord Mills.
Yes, ma'am. We have everybody coming to you.
Okay, well, I was ducking right by where the shooter was. He is a black male, probably like between 15 and 18, in a red and white checkered hoodie.
Okay, do you know where he went?
He's outside of the Sealy.
Outside of where?
The mattress store, right by the Sealy mattress store by Steak and Shake.
That's where he's at now?
Yeah, that's where he's at now.
Okay, all right, we have him coming to you. Okay.
It was unknown at first if Aveanna was involved in the initial fight at the mall, but it was later found she wasn't connected to the incident. It was just an innocent bystander that was struck by a stray bullet. On New Year's Day, 3 days after her death, the suspect involved in the shooting, 18-year-old Dante Black, was finally arrested. After the arrest, investigators say they believe Dante was in a verbal altercation with an unidentified 16-year-old boy in the mall. When the group of teens were asked to leave, Dante went out one entrance and the 16-year-old left through Dave & Buster's because he feared Dante had a gun after seeing him messing with something in his clothes. When Dante saw the 16-year-old exiting Dave & Buster's in the parking lot, police say he began firing in his direction, but the bullets ended up striking Aveanna and the two other teens who were not involved. The day after Dante was arrested, police announced they arrested another teen who was an acquaintance of Dante and believed to be involved in the shooting as well, but his name and mugshot were not released as he is only 15 years old. Dante was charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and felony riot for the shooting of Aveanna Propst and is being held at the Cabarrus County Jail facing death or life without parole, and the 15-year-old suspect was arrested on the same charges. Aveanna was an 8th grader at Ace Academy Public Charter School and was set to graduate this year. She enjoyed singing, dancing, cheerleading, and basketball, among many other things, and was known for her kindness towards others with a personality that would light up a room. A memorial was held for her on January 3rd, where many people went to mourn her death, but also celebrate her life. The next day, friends and family attended her funeral, where they were able to say their final goodbyes and pack the church and share photos and memories of the young teen. Her family says they are grateful for the Concord police for apprehending the suspects quickly, and even though it will not bring Aveanna back, they are hopeful justice will be served. On January 22, 2019, in Ernle, North Carolina, the grandmother of 3-year-old Casey Hathaway calls 911 to report him missing. She states the 3-year-old and 2 other children were playing in the backyard at her home, but when the other 2 children came back inside, Casey wasn't with them. After looking around the house and surrounding woods for about 45 minutes and not being able to find Casey, his grandmother made her call to 911.
January 22nd, 2019, 14 hours, 10 minutes, 15 seconds.
Craven County 911, where's your emergency?
200 Toller Road.
200 Toller Road?
Yes.
Okay, and what's going on there?
We lost my 2-year-old grandson who has walked in the woods back there and we can't find him. 3-year-old grandson.
Okay, so who's there with them?
His little sister.
And you say his 3-year-old?
Yeah, he's 3.
Okay.
The girls come to the house and left him there, and he's walked off somewhere, and we can't find him.
Okay, but you're not there at the house now?
I'm at the house, yeah.
Okay, and how long ago do you know he walked in there?
It's been at least 45 minutes, because we've been looking all in the woods for him.
And it's behind your house?
Huh?
Is it directly behind your house?
Yeah. Well, on the side, yeah.
Is he a white, black?
He's white.
You know what he was wearing?
Probably a black little coat.
A black coat?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he usually do this?
Huh?
Does he usually do this?
No.
Was he wearing pants?
Yeah, he had pants.
Was it jeans?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And you said about 45 minutes to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Is it a big area of woods behind your house?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I think you've been out there looking for him?
Yes.
What is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we got a deputy headed to you, okay? And you said 45 minutes directly behind your house or the side?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, if you see him, let us know. We have some deputies headed that way, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
January 22nd, 2019, 14 hours, 12 minutes, 28 seconds.
The search for the missing toddler brought in 600 volunteers, the FBI, U.S. Marines, divers, NCIS, and sheriffs across 12 counties. Even through the heavy rain, gusty winds, and low visibility, Sheriff Hughes said they would not stop searching for Casey until he was found. For the next 2 days after Casey was reported missing, professional searchers, helicopters, and K-9 units with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children spent hours covering 1,000 acres of woods, ponds, and surrounding areas. The terrain was treacherous, and by nightfall, the temperatures dropped below freezing, so at one point the search was called off for safety reasons and then resumed the next day. It was reported that Casey wasn't dressed properly for the extreme temperatures, and his family and authorities were worried for his safety. Then after 2 nights and 3 days of searching, a local resident called in a tip reporting that while she was walking her dogs, she could hear what she thought was a child's voice coming from the woods nearby. Shane Greer, the captain of Chocowinity EMS, went searching in the woods where the voice was reportedly heard, then began to hear the child's voice calling for their mother. Greer followed the voice, and finally he stumbled upon Casey about 40 to 50 yards into some woods, tangled in vines and thorns. Greer said Casey was cold but responsive, and considering the conditions, he was doing very well and was transported by EMS to a local hospital with cuts and bruises, but seemed to be otherwise unharmed. It was reported that he spent his days in the hospital watching Netflix and eating chicken nuggets. While Casey was in the emergency room, he offered up an interesting detail about his time in the woods, saying he had a friend that kept him company, that friend being a black bear. Authorities have said there are bears in the woods of Craven County, but there's no evidence to prove one was with Casey. Whether the bear was real or part of Casey's imagination, his family says all that matters is that something was there to comfort him during the 3 days he was missing. They are grateful for the efforts of the volunteers and search parties coming together and for a happy outcome in the case. On October 9, 2018, in Atlanta, Georgia, a woman called 911 to report she saw what she thought was a suspicious man accompanied with 2 children, telling the dispatcher she got a funny feeling and was concerned for the children's safety. She gave a description of the man, saying he was black and that the 2 children, a 6-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl, were white. As the woman was talking with the dispatcher, she disclosed she was following the man and continued to do so even after the dispatcher advised her not to.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi there. I'm in the Walmart parking lot at Barrett Parkway, and I just got my nails done, and I see this black gentleman with these 2 little white kids, and so I just had a funny feeling. And so I rode around, and I came back, and I saw the girl get in, and then the little boy, and I said, are these kids okay? Do you know these kids? And he goes, why wouldn't I? And I said, I don't know. Let me see the little girl. He goes, no. And I said, well, let me just see the little girl and just see if she knows you. And it could be nothing, but I'm not sure. And I figured, well, let me call up. And again, if I didn't do this, I would be up all night.
Did you want to meet with a police officer?
Well, I'd like somebody to come and look at this guy to make sure that he knows these kids. He just got gas, and now he's pulling away. Should I follow him?
No, I recommend not following him.
I think he knows I'm watching him. I'm right behind him. And if I'm wrong, that's great. I'm thrilled. But if I'm not, then these kids are okay. And maybe he knows their mom. I don't know. But I don't know that he knows them.
What the woman didn't know was that the man, 27-year-old Corey Lewis, was the children's babysitter and longtime family friend and had been given permission to care for the children that day. Corey was watching the 2 children when they went to a Walmart in Marietta, Georgia, where they got some food, then stopped at a gas station to fill up the car. Corey first came into contact with the woman in the Walmart parking lot, where she approached his car and asked if the children were all right and if she could speak to them. Corey refused to let her speak with them and asked the woman why the children wouldn't be all right. He got back into his car and drove to the gas station and began documenting the incident on Facebook Live, noticing the woman was keeping her distance yet still following them. He said he knew why the woman was suspicious because he had 2 children with him that didn't look like him. Instead of bringing the children back to their house and being understandably upset and concerned, he started driving the children to his house where he knew people would be outside while the woman followed him the whole way. As Corey pulls into the driveway, a Cobb County police officer arrives and tells Corey he has to perform a wellness check and instructs the children to get out of the car.
I'm being followed and harassed. That's what's up.
I've heard. So apparently she saw you at Walmart.
I was at Walmart. Yeah, I got 2 kids I'm babysitting. We ate at Subway at Walmart. Went and got some gas. She pulled up talking about are the kids okay? Why wouldn't they be okay? No one's yelling, no one's screaming, no one's trying to run away. She left, came back, and asked to see the little girl so she can ask her if does she know who I am.
Yeah.
All right? And then I went over to get some gas at Murphy's.
Okay.
She came back there and stayed there.
Echo Lima, India 00. You mind if I talk to him?
That's crazy.
I know, but you mind if I do?
I mean, why? To fulfill her?
No, it's just something like technically at this point in time it's like a code for it, which is like an okay check, just to make sure everything's all right. Hey, can y'all step out?
Oh, they gotta step out?
Yeah, I just want to talk to them.
Please explain to the officer who Mr. Lewis is, please.
Radio 1314, Mr.
Yeah.
Return.
And he's babysitting us.
Okay.
And he took us to Crusader, and then he took us to Subway for dinner. And then this lady started following.
So, I went like right up the road right there. It's saying that, she was just, I guess, they came up to us. It was like a suspicious kind of thing. And I guess with them being kids, kind of like just totally answered her for some crazy reason.
With 2 white kids being with 1 black male.
No, yeah.
It's suspicious.
Wait, this is his life. He has a business. This is his life.
The children's parents, David Parker and Dana Mango, got a phone call from the officer to verify Corey had permission to be with their children, which said left them in a state of disbelief and feeling horrible for Corey. Dana said the officer was apologetic, thinking he saw what was happening pretty quickly and let Corey go after he realized everything was all right. The mother said her children were actually frightened for Corey when the officer questioned him, saying they were scared that they would say the wrong thing and cause him to get arrested. Sadly, this isn't the first time a person of color has had to defend themselves after being deemed suspicious for doing mundane things such as playing golf, cashing a check, or even hosting a barbecue. Like Corey did, other people in similar situations started to document these incidents on social media, videos of which can easily be found online, helping to gain national attention of the issue. Corey runs his own Marietta-based child care and mentoring business called Inspired by Lewis and says he works with children all the time, even on his days off. His clientele is mainly white, but up until this incident, it had never occurred to him that that would give someone a reason to call the police on him. He says he is pursuing a master's degree in child and adolescent development to fulfill his dream of specializing in the psychosocial development of today's youth and will not let this experience hold him back from his work. In Mesa, Arizona, on October 27, 2019, 5-year-old Charlie made an urgent call to 911. He asked the dispatcher an important question with a simple request, but then hung up a few moments later. The dispatcher called the number right back and began speaking with Charlie again, where he then asked if he could talk to the boy's father.
Hello, 911?
Hi, is this McDonald's?
McDonald's?
Yes, is this McDonald's?
No, this is the Mesa Police Department. Do you have an emergency?
Can I get one with Happy Meal?
A Happy Meal?
Bye.
Hello, you there? Hello?
Who is this?
Hey, this is Anthony.
No.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Who are you? McDonald's.
Hello?
What? Hi.
This is Anthony with the Mesa Police. Is your mom or dad there?
Oh, here. Is this... Yeah, my mom and dad are here.
Can you put them on the
phone? Wait 1 second.
Okay, thank you.
Dad.
Hello? Hey, this is Anthony with the Mesa Police Department. We received several calls from this location. We just wanted to confirm that there was no emergency.
No, sorry, I don't know. The kids must have had the phone.
Yeah, it was, he kind of made my day. It was your son?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was asking me if I was McDonald's and if he can get a Happy Meal. So,
oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we'll probably still have an officer head out there for a welfare check. Who knows? Maybe he'll stop by McDonald's. I don't know. But
no, that's fine. No. Oh my gosh.
After the dispatcher talked to Charlie's father, he still had to send an officer to the home for a welfare check to make sure everything was fine. According to Charlie's mom, Kim, the family was getting ready for a Halloween party when the phone rang. She didn't realize at first what Charlie had done, saying she and her husband were shocked and kind of embarrassed when the 911 dispatcher called back and spoke to Charlie's dad. When Scott Valdez, the officer who was dispatched, arrived at the family home, he had a special surprise for Charlie, walking up with a Happy Meal in his hands. Charlie, a sweet and kind preschooler known for putting others ahead of himself, was excited to share the Happy Meal with his sister. His mother said when she saw what was in the box, a plain cheeseburger with just ketchup, she realized her son had ordered food for his 6-year-old sister Jaden. Not knowing if he was in trouble, Charlie was shy at first, but when Officer Valdez gave him the Happy Meal, the two quickly became buddies. But the officer wasn't just delivering food. He used the opportunity to also talk with Charlie about when it's appropriate to call 911. Kim said they were appreciative of how the officer handled the situation and says the family hopes Officer Valdez's extra effort will be an example for people to always be kinder to each other.